Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I found this Reddit post, and it was going into how a lot of these so-called attacks on the small hatters is actually set up by themselves in an effort to boost sympathy for themselves and make everyone seem like they're anti-sim or anti-1948er, and also to encourage other 48ers or other small hats to move over into the land of Israel to help protect it. But I've been seeing reports of these attacks for years, and it was just nice to see someone put a few of them together just so you could have them all at once. And so the first one says, anti small hatter attack on JJ owned restaurant is another hate crime hoax, cops say. That one happened back in 2019. It says worst anti small hat attack on kosher cafe revealed to be scam by owners. And so, as you see, they set up or they'll do these attacks on their own. They'll graffiti things just to make people think that the world is against them, and so they could continue to play the victim card when they're in fact the first of the nations. And in Numbers it said Amalek is the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he be no more. And that's who those 1948ers, those small hatters, actually are biblically. They are the tribe of Amalek under the house or nation of Edom. And they're in the power seat right now. And they do some of that through pretending to be victims, because the true biblical Israelites would actually be in a lower state. So they try to show themselves in this victim state when in fact they're the ones pulling the strings and doing these crimes and running the earth into the ground through their elite. This other one says 1948er advisor behind anti-small hat political campaign in Austria. So he's mass communicating. This one below it says small hat student admits fake hate crime. And so she was going around graffitiing these symbols that are supposed to be against them. The one below it says small hat student charged with hate crime for vandalizing church with one of those symbols and the word Trump. And I remember when this one came out just a few months ago. And they do this over and over, going off the same playbook, but nobody seems to notice them. This next one says Canadian police say anti-small hat attack on cafe was staged. And they're doing this in the eyes of the people and just trying to drum up sympathy. But there's no sympathy for them because they do not deserve it. It says small hat suspect arrested over S symbol graffiti on synagogues. This guy, Avi Shalom, says he has proof of Z involvement in 1950s attack on Iraqi small hats. And so they use their intelligence agencies to carry these attacks out as well. and try to make it look like they're enemies. And I'm going to go ahead and read from Exodus chapter 17 and verse 14. And it says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven." Slakia. But Amalek, being the head tribe of the nation of Edom, will be genocided after they serve out their 1,000 years of captivity, of very harsh captivity under the Israelites. The Israelites being the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, while Amalek are fraudulently pretending to be those people, which they are not. And for that, they're gonna be done away with. There will be no more of them after their 1,000 years of captivity. And it's also for the rest of the house of Edom, Edom being so-called Caucasians, in which it's about the spirit and who your father is and who his father is, and so on and so forth. So there are actually people within these groups within that look like the nation of Edom or look like Amalekites who actually go back to Israelites, or they could go back to another nation. And so you can't just go around thinking that they're all Amalek or all Esau. We don't know yet. You can tell by their spirits though, and some of them are and some of them aren't, and that's vice versa. There's a lot of so-called quote-unquote black people that actually go back to the nation of Edom. And likewise with the Northern Kingdom, there's a lot of so-called Latinos and Native Americans that go back to those conquistadors or go back to the nation of Edom or some other nation as well. So we're not angels and can't tell them apart between the wheat and the tares right now. And so we're waiting for the Lord to send the angels to make that distinction. Jumping down to verse 16 in Exodus chapter 17. It says, "For he said, because the Lord Yahweh hath sworn that the Lord Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." And so the Lord is bringing it to them right now. He is exposing them. He's causing them to expose themselves. He's having other members of the house of Esau to expose those people and to expose the rest of Idumea. He's having the prophets expose and bring heat to Amalek and to the rest of Idumea. He is setting them up to fall because he's going to bring them down. He's not going to allow them to just continue to rule and hurt his people as well as hurt the earth. He's going to bring them out. He's going to bring them out of power for all of that. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 15. "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord Yahweh. And their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us?" And they've been doing all these things covertly, not thinking that the world is seeing them, but they are being exposed right now. Most people actually know, whether or not they say it out loud, but they realize that these are not the true biblical Israelites. And that's been their biggest weapon, was their secrecy and having people not know and just assume that they actually are the people of the Lord. But they're not, and they've been doing all sorts of things in the dark, like setting up victim crimes on themselves just so that they can play the victim card. And they do countless other things in the dark, like with those tunnels that were just recently found. That's an example of them doing their wicked works in the dark. But you see, even with that, the Lord has exposed them. With the Epstein Island thing as well, with people understanding and knowing who the Illuminati is. And as you know, those are the ones that really run it are Amalekites and people that claim to be small hatters, claim to be the Lord's people, but the Lord's people wouldn't do such wicked things like that they're doing with all the child sacrifice and the trafficking and just countless things that they do, as well as the blasphemy of saying that they are in fact the Lord's people when they are not. They're hated of the Lord, and which is why he's exposing them and bringing them out of power. We're going to end here at 2 Thessalonians verse 8 and 9. And it says, "And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth." That wicked being the whole nation of Edom, so-called Caucasians and so-called small hatters. They're being revealed as being the wicked. It says, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Let me read that again. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And that's through his prophets, starting with the apostles and elders of the great millstone, and then on down and so forth. And then he's also using these so-called truthers to expose these people. He's using Amalek's own media to expose them, and various other ways of getting the truth out. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Because when Yahushua returns, Amalek's power structure and power period within the earth will be taken away. They're coming down. Verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. Satan means adversary, and they are the adversaries of Israel and the adversaries of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, which is also why we call them the devil. Which devil means deceiver, and all of these reports or so-called reports that they want to put out there, those are just deceptions. They're big-time lies. Everything about them is a lie. It's with all power, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. And these are lying wonders. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai Bahashem, or Chakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.